Hey, it's Lights Camera Jackson, and welcome to LCJ Live. It is Sunday, September 24th, 2023. If you're watching live on YouTube Live and through the link on Twitter, thank you. An hour later today, because this morning I saw one of the biggest movies of the fall season. One of the biggest movies coming out this coming weekend, Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, the second theatrical feature film in the Paw Patrol franchise that has dominated Nickelodeon entertainment screens. Chase is back. The whole gang is back. There are some big surprises. It's a big superhero action movie, and I'll have more on Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, plus the Dora the Explorer brand new short that plays beforehand Dora and the Fantastical Creatures, coming up later this week across social media, including AnimationScoop.com as well, interviewing the makers of these Paramount releases, the Dora short, the Paw Patrol movie. Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie, has to make more than $40 million, which is what the first one did back in 2021. And that was when it was simultaneously getting a Paramount Plus release. Plus, it was not in Regal movie theaters nationwide and some other chains. So with it being in all the chains and with families ready for this, I think this is going to be a big hit. I think the box office next weekend is going to be huge. As for this weekend, we'll get to that. But yes, next weekend with Paw Patrol, with Saw X, Saw 10, with The Creator, with Dumb Money going nationwide, and some other releases, I think it's going to be a big weekend next weekend. Just have to get through this weekend, wow. It happened again. It happened again for now, that The Nun 2 edged out another new movie. As we saw last weekend, The Nun 2 beat A Haunting in Venice by just a couple $100,000. Now the separation this weekend for The Nun 2 to The Expendables 4 is just $100,000. Warner Brothers came out with the figure first of $8.4 million for The Nun 2 this weekend. It's at $69.2 million. It's one of the 5 biggest movies of the year for Warner Brothers. And then Lionsgate decided to come out with $8.3 million for The Expendables 4. So the fact that Lionsgate went second and went lower says to me that they're not 100% confident that The Expendables 4 is the #1 movie in America, and they will wait till tomorrow. When the actual results are released tomorrow afternoon, we could see The Expendables 4 be the #1 movie and Lionsgate claim it, or Warner Brothers gets The Nun 2 for 3 weeks in a row, which they didn't see coming, no one saw coming. This is unbelievable that The Expendables 4 only made $8.3 million this weekend, and it's going to lose the box office when it had no other major competition this weekend. Unbelievable. The last Expendables movie only opened to $15 million and totaled $39, and that was considered a flop compared to the first Expendables, which made $103 million, and the second that made $85. Now, a lot of people said, well, I didn't like Expendables 3. It was only rated PG-13. I didn't want to go because the first 2 were rated R. So now this fourth one is rated R, but no one went. And it's got Stallone, and it's got Jason Statham. Jason Statham, who just starred in Meg 2: The Trench, which opened to $30 million and is up to $82 million. And this Jason Statham movie, also in a franchise, only makes $8. What happened here? I have not seen The Expendables 4. I was in California earlier this week, saw Paw Patrol this morning, lot going on. I will catch up on The Expendables 4 at some point. But what happened here? Wow. From what I've heard, the reviews of it have not been very good. The buzz is not very strong. But still, you've got a franchise that its last installment made $39 million, though that was 9 years ago. Now, you might be saying to yourselves, something could have opened this weekend to really go up against it. You did have a couple other releases, which we'll get to in a second, but you could have had one of these other movies. You've got 3, 4 big ones next weekend. Why didn't one of them want to go up against Expendables 4? Well, I think a lot of people thought Expendables 4 was going to make a lot more money, and circumstance-wise, Lionsgate could not have opened Saw 10 on the same day as Expendables 4. Same studio, couldn't have done that. 20th Century has The Creator, but I don't think 20th Century wanted to release 2 movies back-to-back. They had A Haunting in Venice last weekend. I think they wanted the 2-week window, so they wanted to give a little separation. So I guess you could say that the movie that could have opened this weekend was Paw Patrol. But I know Paramount wanted that last weekend in September spot. It's usually a good weekend for families. That mid to late September 20 spot has gone to Sony over the years. It's gone to Leica with some movies and has been very successful. So I think they wanted to wait to the last weekend of September, though a lot of kids have school off tomorrow. So if Paramount had released Paw Patrol this weekend and with tomorrow off, they might have done pretty well. I still think the movie will do very well, and a lot of families will go, but an interesting decision maybe Paramount could have taken this weekend. Because of that, and with kids not having a lot of options, Ninja Turtles still did okay this weekend. It made $1.6 million. So Ninja Turtles, I'm just looking at the signal here. Ninja Turtles still made $1.6 million after, 8, 9, 10 weeks of release, and is up to $116.2 million. Now, all the Ninja Turtles money has been spent, all the families have gone to it, and now here comes Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie to make a lot of money. With the rest of this weekend, the way it's going, $6.3 million for A Haunting in Venice. That's a big drop from 14. It's up to 25.4. Remember, the last one did 45, so we're at 25. This may have trouble getting to 35. Next up is The Equalizer 3, which made $4.7 million this weekend. It's at 81.3. Needs another 20 million-ish to get over 100. That's not going to happen. It will fight to get to 90. I'm not sure it does. So Sony will say, well, we made a third one. It opened pretty much the same as the others, but the legs on it not quite as strong. Still solid, but not exceptional. Next up looks like Barbie, which had an IMAX release this weekend, so it only had a very small drop overall. Going into IMAX screens, Barbie added $3.2 million. It's at $630.5 million. Then My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 made another $3 million. It's at $23.8. Needs another $4 million and change, $4.5 million to beat Asteroid City to be the biggest Focus Features movie of the year. It's going to be close. Next up is It Lives Inside, the new neon horror movie that was a Regal Monday mystery movie earlier in September. Opened at just $2.6 million. It's not a very good film. Then you've got Dumb Money right behind it. Had a big expansion because the numbers were okay with its limited start last weekend. And I think Sony originally thought it was only going to expand it to about 200 theaters. Ended up in 600 theaters this weekend. Added $2.5 million. It's at 2.8. It goes nationwide this weekend. And again, going up against 3 other big movies, it will be interesting to see how Dumb Money does. A film I do not care for. It does not work on pretty much every level. But there is some interest to go see it, so we'll see. I'll give you some predictions here in a little bit. Next up is Blue Beetle with $1.8 million. It's at 69.8. And then rounding out your top 10 this weekend is a literal tie between Oppenheimer and Ninja Turtles with $1.6 million each. Oppenheimer is up to 321.2. And then right behind that, Gran Turismo with $1.5 million. It's at 41.8. The re-release of Stop Making Sense made $801,000. It had some earlier showings of it in the IMAX, totaling $1.4 million for A24 currently. From the Shadows, Mike Sargent, my good friend, colleague, co-host of Too Fast, Too Films, his movie's in 5 theaters. From the Shadows, great new horror movie, and it's on Vudu this Friday. Check out From the Shadows. Speed is Expensive is a good documentary that's available on DVD and some digital platforms, some online platforms this week on motorcycles, and go check out Speed is Expensive if you're into that. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is a new Wes Anderson live-action short film adaptation of a Roald Dahl story, and that's going to premiere on Netflix with Benedict Cumberbatch this Wednesday, September 27th. The Kill Room, which I have seen. Samuel L. Jackson, Joe Manganiello, Uma Thurman. It opens Friday in select theaters. I'm going to have my thoughts on The Kill Room later this week. I screened it a few weeks ago. Of course, the reunion of Uma Thurman and Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction, and I'll let you know my thoughts on that later this week. Tonight is the premiere of Krapopolis from Fox. They sent me some swag. I'll post that at some point. Some cool swag from Krapopolis, and my conversation with some of the makers is at lcj.podbean.com and animationscoop.com. Thanks to the Fox gang for that. New Dan Harmon created animated comedy series, joining the Animation Domination team tonight on Fox. Okay, let me talk about my trip to Disney, to the El Capitan Theater. Now, I'm not allowed to say exact details of what I saw, but their big new holiday animated movie opening for Thanksgiving is Wish. And I got to screen some footage of the movie, also screened the Once Upon a Studio short celebrating the 100 years of Disney and Disney animation. And check out this pin I got, Disney 100, very cool. So I got to screen the short, interviewed the makers of the short and the movie. We're talking about Oscar winner, producer of Encanto, Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, who won the Academy Award for Frozen, the producer of Frozen. Some of the biggest names in Disney animation are behind Wish and behind Once Upon a Studio. So great to chat with them. You'll get some AnimationScoop.com Q&As this week with Wish. Jennifer Lee, great one-on-one interview conversation with her coming next week. And in October, closer to the Once Upon a Studio official release, my conversation with the directors and producers of that. I also want to show you this limited edition pin I got of Star, the character in the movie. So check out that pin. It's very cool. Thank you to Disney for that. Thank you for the wonderful time I had at the El Capitan Theater. I'd never been inside the El Capitan. The number of times I've been to Hollywood and I've walked by, you've got Grauman's Chinese Theater, you've got the Dolby Theater, you've got Jimmy Kimmel Live, you've got the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so many cool spots on Hollywood Boulevard. I'd never been inside the El Capitan, and it's a nice older theater. They had an organ come up. The organ player played 2 songs from Beauty and the Beast, 2 songs from Mary Poppins, did some Aladdin, did some Lion King, and it was really wonderful. And the whole Disney 100 celebration is big, and it's going to be big this entire fall and into the holiday season. So I thank the folks at Disney very much for having me be a part of this, and I look forward to sharing those Q&As all about Wish and Once Upon a Studio and Jennifer Lee's insights on what's going on at Disney Animation for you very soon. If you're joining me here on LCJ Live, thank you. If you've got a question or a comment, you can submit it now here on YouTube. If I were to predict how the box office is going to go this coming weekend, I really think Paw Patrol is going to win, and I really think it can do more than $20 million. Families want to see this. A lot of young kids want to see this, and they want to see this right away. I think Paw Patrol is going to do very well. Right behind it will be The Creator. The buzz on this is growing. John David Washington, Gareth Edwards, who did Godzilla and Rogue One. I'm looking forward to it, and I think there's a lot of curiosity, not just with the AI component, but the total action vibe, sci-fi feel of this movie. So I think if I were to say what the box office is going to be, I will go with at least $20 million for Paw Patrol. It's gotta. Creator, I'm going with 16. Saw 10, I'm going with 13. Not going to be as big of a flop for Lionsgate as Expendables 4 this weekend, but not to the old numbers of what the Saw movies used to do. I think we're still a little early for the horror movies to Halloween. I know they moved this up. Exorcist also got moved up. So I think some people are going to wait for The Exorcist. I really do. I think Saw 10 is going to suffer a little bit. And Dumb Money, I'm going to go with $9 million for a nationwide expansion. If you wanted to see Dumb Money and you didn't think that your town was going to get it until next weekend, and your town ended up getting it this weekend, you went to it this weekend. So I think a lot of people who saw Dumb Money are not going to go see it a second time. So I'm going to go with at least 20 for Paw Patrol, 16 for The Creator, 13 for Saw, and 9 for Dumb Money. When you do that quick math, as I'm doing in my head, that's $58 million for the top 4 movies next weekend, and the rest will make up a little more. And this weekend's top 10 is, what, 60 million, something like that, or top 12 total. I think the top 4 movies are going to make what this top 10 did total this weekend, at least. So it's going to be a much better weekend next weekend for the box office with these big movies. Then you've got The Exorcist. Then you've got Taylor Swift. Then you've got Killers of the Flower Moon. The tickets for Killers of the Flower Moon go on sale tomorrow. I just read that. Wow. And then you've got Five Nights at Freddy's and some other animated movies and some other horror movies and dramas for the end of October. And then some rom-coms, some smaller movies for November. Priscilla's coming out. And then The Marvels. And then Hunger Games. And then Trolls and Wish. And Napoleon. It's going to be a big holiday season. I can feel it. Even without Dune, which could still have been here, I think. It's still going to be a big holiday season. Families, horror movie fans, franchise movie fans, and older audiences, I think, have a lot to take in the theaters. And I hope the writer's strike, I hope it all gets resolved. We're coming close, it seems like, maybe to reaching a deal. That would be nice. Get that all going. And then maybe the actor's strike can finally end as well. So thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. I appreciate it. I will be back maybe Saturday. I'll figure it out. I'm going somewhere exciting next weekend. I will share those details at some point. But keep it here. Keep it to my social media for the details on the next LCJ Live. Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson, YouTube.com/LightsCameraJackson, and lights-camera-jackson.com. Lots of AnimationScoop.com Q&As this week and next week. And new LCJ Q&A podcast episodes are on the way as well. Thank you for watching today's episode of LCJ Live. I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Take care. Bye-bye. And for families, enjoy Paw Patrol, the mighty movie. Bye-bye.